a little bit about myself. I grew up in Durban, KZN. I, not like many people, came straight from high school. I actually took a 2-year gap year before I came to WITS. So what made me interested in architecture was my mother, actually. My mother was a little bit of my inspiration. So my mother's a real estate agent, and so she's always been surrounded by property. She dabbled a little bit in property development. So growing up, I was actually just surrounded by a lot of property. So that's where the interest actually began. And yeah, it actually started out as an interior designer first. And then towards the end of my high school career, I decided to be an architect. So some challenge I faced were probably just my subject choice in grade 10. Some schools wanted physics, some schools wanted art, and just narrowing down what subjects I had to take and how well I had to do with them in order to actually qualify to study architecture. Firstly, I'd ask them what their interests are, and if their interests lie in a bit of art, encourage them to take art and encourage them to take EGD, because subjects like that sort of help shape your mind and sort of introduce a bit of drawing skills that sort of help you in your undergrad and certainly help me. EGD is great with technical skills. You're already starting to dabble with house plans, you're already starting to dabble with sections, which is great. And then art in terms of, because architectural visualization is actually a big thing here, how you sort of represent your work is a big thing here. The project that I was most interested in is the one that we did in semester 1 in my honours year. And it was a project that really tapped into, because it was based in Yeoville, Johannesburg, and it really required us to think of the people rather than the spaces or whatever. And as much as you can come with a grand design, will it actually fit in Yeoville, Johannesburg? And it really tested us to start looking into and researching into a lot more depth of the people that are actually going to make use of this building.
So it's been an interesting journey. I was one of those privileged people who always knew what they wanted to do. I finished school knowing I wanted to be an architect, but I found at school I had no way of knowing what architects did. I actually found it very limiting, the amount of information available, and I found it quite hard to access as a profession because it's somewhere between science and art, and no one really understands that. It's a functional art. And it was only really through going to university and starting to study it that I realized that I had made the right choice for sure, in that both of those are strengths for me, and I've always found that I like to problem solve. I think problem solving is really what this profession is actually about. I did a 6-year qualification at WITS University, so I effectively got my master's degree in architecture. And I was fortunate enough when I finished there to get a job at a company which unfortunately also no longer exists, called RFB Consulting Architects. When I joined, they were busy with the upgrade of Johannesburg International Airport. It had just been turned into Johannesburg International Airport, and I got to work on that. And then within months of that happening, the Pretoria station was burnt down in the early 2000s, and I was assigned to that as the project architect straight out of university. And I was able to run that as the project architect, and it was a fantastic opportunity. And I was with the practice for about 2 or 3 years, and unfortunately they eventually liquidated the practice, and that was why I ended up here at a place called Msaris Wapenaar Cole Architects, and I've been with this practice now for almost 20 years. It's been a very rich journey and a very fulfilling journey. Well, we have a lot of fun. To be honest, I can't really say that I work. I come to the office to play every day of my life, and we're basically a group of people that have fun every day, and we come to our office to make buildings, but at the same time we never take ourselves too seriously, and architects generally are like that. We have to work hard, but because we have to work hard, we like to play hard too. And I think, unfortunately, it is one of those professions that the hours can be very long. Sometimes I will get in at 6 in the morning and leave here at midnight. We've got a deadline, something that's got to be done. It is what it is, it's got to happen. But the next day, it'll be over and we have fun and we go out for lunch and we just have an easy day. So my days are never typical.
I've gained a lot of skills during my studies. Firstly, time management. I think the architectural program requires you to have a lot of discipline and time management skills, and those are other factors in the creative factors and technical factors that I grew in. I think we're just programs, so we've got specific programs that we work on, like Revit and so forth, and things like Photoshop and InDesign and all of that. And being in an environment like this, being in this university, it taught me those things, it taught me those values, and it equipped me with the skills necessary to actually practice in this field. So one of the reasons why I chose to study at WITS is because WITS is actually a really good school in terms of architecture, and that's really what excited me most. As a girl who grew up in Durban, KZN, WITS sort of appealed to me in terms of how they go about architecture, how they go about the design and urban planning. And another big thing is that it's accredited by SACAP, which was a huge thing for me because SACAP is a very important thing in our industry. And if you are looking at different universities, I would encourage you to make sure that they're SACAP accredited, just so that you can go further in this industry and you can actually be a SACAP registered architect. I think that architecture is very important in shaping our society. I think indirectly we move from building to building to building our whole lives, essentially. So we're surrounded by architecture, our spaces are architectural, they're buildings. And I think that we have a say in how we shape society and how the society looks. So I think architecture can shape communities in that way, in how now that we've a whole new South Africa, instead of using it as a tool to oppress, we can use it as a tool to celebrate our diversities and celebrate where we're at now. So I think architecture is on the forefront of that.
This is a profession which is about making. It's effectively the profession that stemmed from the grand master masons of old. An architect is the master mason, right from conception, right through to actually supervising the construction and handing that building over to a client as a complete entity. It's probably the most important design profession that you could follow, in that it's all-encompassing. All other design professions actually fall under this one. I think persevere. Like all things in life, you will get there if you're consistent and you keep at it and don't give up, and it will be challenging and you will be tested and people will question your choices and your design, and that's part of making you a great architect. People need to have an opinion. Both in the real world, people are going to have opinions about your work and they're going to judge you. And be ready for that judgment. But also be ready to stick up for what you've done. Because what you've done is not wrong. It's a subjective thing. This is all about opinion. So stick up for your work, be proud of what you're doing and be confident and do it.
Registration with SACAP in the student category is free of charge. To be eligible to register in the student category, a student must be enrolled full-time in an undergraduate or postgraduate architectural program. The student must be undertaking studies at an accredited architectural learning site. Here is a list of SACAP accredited learning sites. For more information, visit our website at www.sacapsa.com.